Hey everybody, hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Now I want to give you the 3 biggest problems that I feel that stop people from achieving their highest human potential, that keeps you from achieving that peak performance, that even keeps you from achieving complete happiness and joy and bliss and just living that great life full of great emotions. Now, I'm Shane Jeremy James, and I want to give you a tiny bit of backstory about me, but I don't want to go into this very long at all. It's going to be just very brief of how I got into talking about what I'm talking about right now. For me, I always had a goal to figure out how to maximize my human potential and become the best at what I do and everything I do. I really wanted to get to the top 5% of people in the world that can master their brain. Because I knew that if you could master the mind and master the brain, it didn't matter what happened in your outer world, everything would be great. Because true mastery comes from in the inside. I also started to see where people were really struggling. When I used to own gyms, and I wrote a few books in the weight loss industry, and I literally have trained and coached tens of thousands of women in that industry. And I seen these problems happening inside that industry. I also then went into the business industry, and as I worked with thousands of businesses, as I grew different businesses, I seen the same thing happening with so many business owners. And then when I was helping people with their mindset in the personal growth industry, I seen the exact same 3 problems always happening over and over and over again. It was almost linked to everything. Then I look back at myself, and I've read now probably 700 books. I spent 7 figures on all kinds of coaching and training and masterminds and you name it. And I still hadn't gotten to the level at one time that I wanted to get to. And I thought to myself, how could I have learned all this knowledge and I'm still not at the top? Like, you would think after I learned all that stuff, I'd be like the best in the world at everything I do. But it just wasn't happening that way. And that's when I started to realize that knowledge technically doesn't matter. It matters, but it matters more importantly of what you learn, when you learn it, and then how you learn it, I started to realize. That was a big learning lesson. If I could do it all again, I would reverse engineer everything that I've done and start here where I started right now. So I want to jump right into it so you guys understand these 3 problems. And I'll tell you this, by the end of this video, you'll start to really figure out, okay, that's exactly what I need to master myself and actually hit the highest human potential in my life. Now, these 3 problems, let's start with number 1. I wrote them on the board here so we can move faster. We've got unconscious focus, we've got unconscious action, and we got unconscious programs. So if you notice, everything's around the word unconscious. So think about it like this. Most of us go through our lives unconscious. That's what I used to do. When I read all those books and got all that knowledge, I was just acquiring a knowledge, but I was still unconscious. I'll share with you what I mean by that. So we focus on what we want to focus on. I've still to meet very few people that have extreme great focus. So a lot of times we're focusing on past stuff in our life. Past programs. So that's where it comes into here. We're programmed into our past. We have these programs that run over and over again. We focus unconsciously on these past programs that are running over and over again in our lives. A lot of these programs that are running over are negative programs. They're not good programs. You see, we have 80,000 to 90,000 thoughts per day. Now, 90% of those thoughts are the same thoughts that we had from the day before. So when you think about that, and here's another stat, the majority of these thoughts are negative thoughts. The majority of these thoughts are past programs. So people say to me, well, I want to get to here, I want to get to this dream, and I want to have a better relationship, and I want to lose weight, and all these things, but if they haven't changed their past programs and they keep focusing on that past program unconsciously, it's impossible to get to where you want to get to. And then what happens is we start focusing on the past so much, then even if we start to focus on the future, we get stuck there often too. Because the number 1 cause of stress is time. meaning feeling we don't have enough time. We kind of get in a chaotic state and we got to rush here and get here and everything's just fast, especially in the Western world. That's not a good way to achieve success, by the way. So I used to be in that kind of hustle motivation world, and it's not fun. Once you move over, you can achieve success faster in the way we do it here, and it's much more peaceful. So a lot of times when you're in that future, you're causing more stress, you're causing more anxiety, you're causing more frustration because just you're not doing it the right way. So then you look at action, and action even gets worse because unconscious action, it's kind of an invisible thing that stops you from success, but you believe you're getting there. You always hear take action, take action. I used to tell everybody too when I used to coach all the time, just take action. Here's what you do, take action. Then I started to realize I was always taking action too. After all that learning and wasted money, I was taking action on the wrong thing. It was unconscious action. So I was taking action on all my past programs that I didn't know I was doing every day, the same thing unconsciously. So the action is actually a thing that stops you from truly getting to your dreams and goals because you believe you're going to get there because you're acting, but you don't realize that you're acting on all these thoughts from your past that are not going to take you to where you need to go. So you have to change that whole programming. Your entire unconscious programming, unconscious mind has to be literally changed if you want to have any transformation and any great success in your life. You have to do that first. If I could reverse engineer the way I did it, it would have been just simply this. I'd have been a million times ahead of after I read 600 books, to be honest. And so now let's say you get past this, right? If you get past this and you start to understand this, okay, that's the biggest problem. What you're working to is you're working to achieve a higher level of consciousness when you start to do that. The higher level of consciousness that you get into the world with yourself, the faster you achieve things, way faster. Now let's say you start to get that and you understand that. You get the focus, you get the programs, you start to understand the action. Let me tell you a story so you really understand it. Think about it like this. So Plato said to Socrates something that I thought was very intriguing. He said there was prisoners that were living in a cave. I believe this is actually a true story too. And these prisoners were just to look at a wall. And their entire life, a wall. And behind the wall there were shadows that would walk by, kind of like a puppet show. And that's all they seen their entire life. Like, think about that, what a life. But here's the thing. They were told that there's more out there. They were even suggested that they could go out and see that there was more out there. But they wouldn't go. Why? Because they didn't believe that there was anything else out there. You see, they only believed that that was life. You see, their unconscious mind was so programmed to believe that they didn't even realize that there was more life out there. So that was their entire life. They were fearful to go out there and see what was more. A lot of people are like those prisoners and just seeing those shadows on the wall and thinking that's all there is these shadows that keep going by like that puppet show. That's like the action, the shadows. Your past programs are like that. People are like prisoners and you don't even know it at times. I'm not trying to scare you or anything. I'm just being honest with you where our minds are at times. Think about it like this. You have a box and there's a new box and you know that you want to get into that new box. So the conscious mind says, okay, you got to get into that new box because that's going to help create change in your life. So you're excited and you're ready to do it. But the unconscious mind starts to say, it's too uncomfortable to go there. It's not familiar. I'm not familiar with that. And I want to go back to the old box. And that's the same thing what happens here. When you try to break out, your unconscious programs pull you back and it wants to stay there. It doesn't want to go to anything new. So you stay in that old box, not going to that new box. And that's where things always come up for people, like if they're going to do something, past programs like I don't have the time, or I can't do that because I failed before, or I don't have the money, or all that type of stuff, right? I mean, we've all been there. We've all tried stuff and it hasn't worked out. It's just the fact that you can't keep running those programs in your head over and over again. And so a lot of us are like in this box. So now let's say we move on to problem 2. What's problem 2? Body, emotions, experience. Now I'm going to start moving through this a little faster. It's a little bit of a longer video because I want you guys to really understand this. Now, body, emotions, and experience. So understand that your programs become conditioned to your body. So understand this. When you have all these programs, past programs running in your head, your body just starts to do it automatically. So every day you wake up and your body is conditioned to do the same thing. You don't even know it. So the body actually will even take over the mind. So you don't even have to think about it. The body just goes and does it. It's kind of like driving a car. Once you know how to do it, you know how to do it. You don't think about it. That's how a lot of your bad behaviors and why you can't get to your dreams and goals, because your body is just conditioned to do everything in routine all the time. And you have no clue this is happening because you're not conscious enough aware of it consistently to bring it back down and then recondition your body. A lot of times what happens is these emotions then become conditioned in our body, bad emotions from the past that we bring up over and over and over and over again. See, every time you have an experience, you have an emotion, right? Every time you have an experience, think about that. You have an emotion. A lot of times when you have an experience, then you have a memory of the experience. The memory gets lodged into your head. Now, if you bring this memory to past, a lot of the memories go into past, then they go hit an emotion, and they bring up past emotions from your past that are not good. So you're just having this thinking and feeling and thinking and feeling over and over the same things, and it doesn't stop. And so, you know, I worked so hard to recondition my whole mind, recondition my whole unconscious mind. And when I did, I'll tell you this, my life is so good now. Now, that's what you got to get out of. Now, the experience, you can have new experiences, which you should, and it's important to have new experiences, and that's a good thing. So I look at experiences as, you hear people say, live in the present moment, and I look at it as living experiences. Every minute and every step I take is a new experience. And if I can live in those experiences 24 hours a day and not have to go into these past negative thoughts and live too much in the future unless I'm meditating for something in the future, but I'm living in the experience, quote unquote, say live in the moment, but you're living in your experiences more, your life drastically changes. I can live in my experiences now and my mind doesn't go anywhere. That is true mastery once you get to that level. Your level of joy and bliss are just amazing. I don't have stress, I don't have frustration, I don't have anxiety, I don't have any of that stuff anymore. It's just completely a different way to live. So this is another really big problem, is that our body is conditioned, and we're conditioned to all these past emotions that are not good emotions. Think about if you're living in emotions like happiness and excitement and joy and bliss and, you know, motivation, compared to anxiety and frustration and demotivation and all anger, you know, all those emotions that most people go through all the time in their day. Just think if you could get into living your life the majority of time in not negative thoughts, great emotions, what would your life be like? It's completely different, and you get to every outside goal that you want first. You see, any outside goal you want, lose weight, better health, more money, better relationships, all starts with this stuff here inside, and then it goes outside. You work it outside. But most people want to work it outside with these strategies first, then it never works, okay? It never ever works. So you get past this, and then you get to heart and brain. Let's say this, you know, I'm moving, like, I mean, just one of these alone I could teach on for like 10 hours. So the heart and the brain, energy. Now, this is probably the biggest missing link in all Western society. Did you understand that the heart is probably your #1 secret to get you to the highest human potential that you want in life? See, in Western cultures, we think of heart as like love and compassion and empathy, and it is. But in other cultures, for example, the Aboriginal culture, which I got Aboriginal heritage, they start with the heart. They never start with the brain. Now, I'll tell you something. The heart sends out 60 times more energy than the brain does. The heart talks to the brain more than the brain talks to the heart. The heart will send out energy 3 to 4 feet in front of you. That's how powerful It really is. The heart is responsible for the autonomic nervous system, which conducts of 90% of your body. So you can tell how crucial running the heart and brain together. Heart and brain coherence is your key to success. When I say coherence, what that means is your mind, your emotions, and your body all running together, right? It's all being coherent together, right? Throw the heart in there too now, and now you've got a system that syncs together and you do amazing things. The heart and the brain are really the key for you to really optimize your performance in anything you want to do in life. Now, what are the biggest benefits of running brain and heart together? Well, you tap into a deep level of intuition. So here's something that I think you'll find intriguing. The heart will actually tell you before you even have time to think about it. But here's what we do. We get it in the heart. If you've actually even understood how to practice running the heart and the brain together, some of you might not even be, you might be so disconnected you're not even doing it. Others, your heart tells you, then you start to think it through. And now you tell a story, and you go down this story, and then all this negative past programming comes up. And then you go down here and you don't listen to your heart, and it's a story after story after story, and you miss that deep level intuition. Once you tap into the heart, you will hit intuition like you've never hit before. People always say to me, how have I been able to get in such peace and joy now? I mean, I'll tell you this, if you go 24 hours in peace and joy and you can start to master that, your life's completely different. That's because I've been able to run my heart and my brain together now. And when you do this, you not only tap into deep intuition, but your decision-making process becomes flawless. You strengthen your immune system and your energy to a completely another level. Think about disease and sickness and the coronavirus, for example. People that beat these diseases have the strongest immune system. You see, all this I'm talking about, it's all your body. It's a lot of your immune system. When you tap into the heart and brain, it gives you bigger level, bigger view thinking. You can think on a different level. You'll see a lot of the top CEOs in the world, they really understand how to run the heart and the brain together. So you'll also get extreme focus. Like I'm talking focus like you've never had before. My focus now is like, I remember there would be a day where I'd be like, have to grab my phone and look at Instagram. Then I'd have to look at LinkedIn, and then I'd get out of my bed and I'd grab my phone, and then I'd have to go do this and go do this. Like the focus was all over the place. My focus now is so on point, you can't get me off focus on anything, right? You're just there, you're in that zone, you're there. I'm telling you, it's the best thing that you can ever do. So when you start to understand how to connect the heart and the brain, and you have that coherence, you got to understand it all runs together. You see, when you work the heart and the brain, you fix the body, the emotions, the experience, you fix all this top part, the unconscious focus, the action of the programs, it all comes together. You've now created a superhuman in you. Like literally, you've got into the top 5% of the world. I'm telling you, the top 5% of the world that runs their brain at a completely different level. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. Now, let's say you get this in. Then you move into energy. So what I'm talking about here too is creating a massive amount of energy around this whole thing. Put a circle around it and just name it energy. 20% of your thoughts are energy. Energy is everywhere. Energy is right here in front of me right now. Your heart, when you maximize your heart, I just told you, it creates the energy. If you can get your energy operating at an optimal level, your life changes completely. We always think of energy of just trying to put stuff inside to get a coffee, we get energy, get a protein shake, we get energy. But think about this, when you think a thought, it creates energy. Now think about it. If you create a negative thought, what happens to you? Do you feel good? The more negative thoughts you think, what happens to your energy? You're like sad and angry and frustrated and you just kind of you know what I mean? And when you're thinking positive thoughts and you're doing positive things, what happens? Your energy is completely different. You can feel it when somebody walks in a room and they're full of positivity and they're joy and happy, you can feel the energy. So tapping into energy is one of the most powerful things you can do. And one of the meditations that I go through all the time, we tap into an energy in the quantum field. Now, a lot of everything I'm talking about too is from science, it's from quantum physics. It's not just made up stuff, by the way. I really believe in science, by the way. I research and study so much science, and for me it's been really to figure out how to look at the science and then bring it into my life. I always feel that there's a really big disconnect between kind of the spiritual teachings and maximizing human performance. We often think of spirituals just like the Dalai Lama or Eckhart Tolle's or those type of people, and they are spiritual, but we don't connect it to how we can maximize our potential. And I've been able to do that. That's why kind of what I'm teaching and talking about is kind of framed a lot differently the way they do it, and taps into a completely different other person, by the way, too. So when we're able to get to these levels, I was going to go back, and I was telling you about there's things that we do that we tap into the field, into the quantum field of energy. And when you get into this, it helps you break away from that past programming. You don't even bring up bad thoughts anymore. And you're so tapped into this energy. And if you can get into that using different techniques, you just start to become this powerful, unlimited person where you feel like you can achieve anything at any time in your life. You just never go back. You just finally break. That's what happened to me. I just broke. I was like, got it. I got it. I knew when I got it. Because I know when I'm walking down the street and I can go, 2 hours now, like literally with no thoughts, and connect to the energy around me, you've got it. And believe me, you can get there, trust me. So why do people not get there then? Now look at what I got here, repetition and practice. That's one of the major reasons why people don't get there. Repetition and practice it takes. A lot of times, reading books like I have, audio programs, even going to a 3-day workshop on meditation, they don't work that well. It's like sitting on the sidelines, getting ready for the game. So what happens is when you go to a 3-day event or you read a book, your conscious mind learns it. And your conscious mind is excited. It says, okay, great, I learned it. It's great, I know it now. Great, we're gonna go out and do it. It's kind of like that false action. But what happens is, it's a trick because your unconscious mind, your programs don't change at all. And so when you go leave the workshop, you go back to the same behavior. When you read the book, you go back to the same behavior. When you listen to the audio program, you go back to the same behavior. Now, all this other stuff that people teach is great, but I look at it as like, you need the foundation and then add all that on. It was like me, if I could reverse engineer how I learned, I would have completely reverse engineered everything. It's kind of like people miss the foundation. Like you build a house, and once you built the house, and the husband say goes out and buys the 60-inch big screen TV, and he's excited, and he sits down and he puts all the other bells and whistles in there, the big leather couch, and they're watching TV. The wife looks over at him, says, "Hey, we forgot something." And he says, "What do you mean we forgot? We got everything here." And he says, "Well, we don't have any walls. We don't have any roof on the house. We just got all this stuff in the house." You see, they didn't build the foundation of the house. That's like most people. Most people don't build the foundation. They jump all over the place and forget about the most important stuff that you have to do that creates transformation. And once you get this, repetition and practice so it takes 90 to 140 days. This is from science, by the way, to actually create deep level transformation. 90 days to 140 days. That's why a lot of times when you do go to a 3-day event, or you go to just do a workshop, or you go certain things, there's not enough repetition that hammers it in for you to get the real change. There's not enough time, and so you can't do it. Now, if you look here next, I've got mind, body, heart, spirit, legacy. So this is what it comes down to, what I'm talking about. We created a thing called Live Your T-shirt, right? Actions of Compassion. Live Your T-shirt when we created the program. And it's mind, body, heart, spirit, and legacy. I talked to you a lot about the mind stuff. Body, we talked a bit about body, we talked about spirit, and we talked about legacy. Now, in the program, we go into all these aspects. So we go, everything is deep, deep, heavy in the mind. Changing your unconscious programs, changing everything within inside it. With body, when we go into body too, it's not just changing your body emotionally and conditioning it. We also go into setting you up for 90 days. Live Your T-shirt's a 90-day program, and we help you create a 90-day fitness plan. We teach you what to put into your body health-wise too. Supplements that are cheap, easy, that you should be putting in all the time to help you with your energy. And you see in your 90 days, even on your fitness routine, and this is just following it. Whether you're walking, whether you're lifting weights, whatever you're doing doesn't matter to me. It's programming you to get doing it all the time. And you'll notice that when you do your fitness routine, I set it up where we actually train your own mind in your fitness routine. Because there's people that are watching this right now that are in the program that are super high level fitness, but it's getting your mind and reconditioning the brain and taking that opportunity to do that as you're doing the fitness. And see, it's little things like this that you start to change. Spirit, we're deep level into spirit into this program, and legacy. Legacy this is why this program is completely different, because you're going to leave a legacy. You got to understand, each month you get a t-shirt. First one is this one, Actions of Compassion, is the movement. Second month is Changing the World One Heart at a Time. Third month is Do It with Integrity, Bring It to Life. They're not just t-shirts to be like, oh, here's a t-shirt for the program. Everything is strategic, set up for you to create the most energy, to get the best results. Meaning the words on your shirt that you wear create your signature of who you are, how people see you. But more importantly, when you put the shirt on, you've now done something different. When you take an act of compassion, for example, and you do one act of compassion every week for the first week you've never done. Second week you do 2. Third week you do 3. By 90 days you're doing 10 a day you've never done. We're reconditioning your nervous system without you even doing it, and you're making the world better, and you're leaving a legacy. You see, so everything that we put in here is not just thrown up and been like, oh, I hope it's going to work. Everything is to condition you, to rewire your brain. That's all we're doing, everything. For example, you get up in the morning, we're rewiring your brain. 15 minutes before you go to bed at night, we're rewiring your brain. We're consistently doing, you're putting on the shirt and doing this, we're rewiring your brain. You see, we're rewiring that unconscious stuff so you can really maximize human potential. So there's so much in this. It's a 90-day game of rituals, 90-day game. And I say you got to treat it like a game, this. Why? Because I come from a sports background, and you have to practice, and everything I'm talking about is practice, repetition. The mind is a repetition mind. That's why books, audio programs, lots of coaching, 3-day workshops, that's why a lot of them don't succeed, because it's not enough repetition. We have to drill it into you like you're going to a sports rink and you're going to be like me playing hockey, and you have to practice 5 to 6 days a week to change your life. I mean, the little amount of time that you have to put in for 90 days. Somebody said to me one time, what do you mean 90 days, Shane? That's a long time. And I said, so it took you 90 days to create all these bad habits. It took you 90 days to create all these bad programs in you. You've got 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years of bad stuff into your mind right now. 90 days, if we can recondition it, which we can completely change you in 90 days. Put it this way, if you want to go to the next level in anything you want to do in life, you have to become a completely different person, period. That's it. There's no way around it. This is Live Your T-shirt, and this is a program to play a game. In 90 days, we change your life. Rituals, there's so many rituals in this. And when I say rituals, what I mean by one size does not fit all, ladies and gentlemen. You can't go in and just do a meditation and expect to change. You've got to be doing a lot of the words that you speak, each day, how you start to get control of your unconscious programs, how you start to control your thoughts each day, how you live in each experience each day, how you do gratitude each day, how you run your heart each day, how you do 10-minute meditation, how we program your brain before you go to bed and when you get up in the morning, what you put into your body. You see, there's not one thing. Everything has got to come together for you to maximize results. And then you create massive change. And you'll do it. You'll do it. So in the end, where will you be? I believe this. If you do it all right, and in 90 days, you become like a mystic. And some of you be like, a mystic? Well, what's it mean, a mystic? I mean, you literally get that mystical. You literally get, like, your behaviors are completely different. People around you will just be amazed, completely amazed with you. And more importantly, you'll live a life that is just so nice and wonderful and joyful and peaceful and blessed, but you'll have more determination and motivation and get to your goals even faster. That's what's missing out in a lot of the teachings. It's either very spiritual and you just meditate all day, or it's very hustle motivation. It doesn't have to be either. You can just come in and it can be a bit of both. So that's Live Your T-shirt. It's 90 days. I look forward to working with you, and understand this. With this program, we only bring so many people into it. You see, one of the reasons why a lot of programs don't work for you is because, see, a lot of people have good teachings, by the way, super good teachings, but they don't work for you because a lot of times you need to work more closely with somebody, right? You need the coaching, you need somebody taking care of you, you need to be around somebody, you need to be working with them. And a lot of the top gurus, they got great information, but you got to pay them 20 grand, 30 grand a month to work with them. And so what happens is you take a lot of these courses and things, which is great, you should be, but there's 1 million people in them, or there's 50,000 people in them, or there's even, 2,000 people in them, or 500 people in them. And so you're just another number, and it doesn't really go that much in depth to change you. And so there's nothing wrong with them, right? There's nothing wrong with them at all. It's just like, that's why some of them don't work, especially where you're at right now if you're watching this. You need more hands-on, and you need to understand it. So here's something that we do. Every week you get on Zoom with the group. And when you get on Zoom, you have to explain it. What you learned that week, you have to explain it. So here's a key why most people don't get success. You have to be able to understand it and explain it, or it doesn't matter, right? You can't create transformation or change. So that's why a lot of times you go into 3-day event workshop, when you leave, you don't fully understand it enough. And you don't have anybody to give you the feedback. You need feedback. It's like a sports coach. You need feedback from people. And so when you get on Zoom, you explain it in 1 minute. Now some of you are like, oh no, I got to put myself in that spot. That's breaking your behavior right there. But that's how we create the transformation. You be able to explain it, then you go out and do it. You see, you got to understand also too, there's things set up in our program where you're living it in real time. Like you're doing certain heart breathing exercises while you're standing in front of somebody and they don't even know. So that's the other benefit, is we try and get you as much in live time instead of going and just reading the book or going to the workshop and then having to leave. This is live time, a lot of it. It's real time. That's why it's called Live Your T-shirt. So in the end, you've got to start, you've got to understand it, you've got to do it, and then you've got to live it. Live it, live it. That means you become it. That means that's you. So there's a lot of things that have been put into this program to help people transform, and there's only a small portion of people that are allowed in each 90 days because it's all we can take on to create true transformation. Am I gonna ever make as much money as a lot of the big people? No, I'm not, because I mean, if I sold it to the masses and we didn't take that much hand-holding and created, how we've set it up and done the more personalized stuff with you, then if we didn't do that, yeah, of course I would make a ton of more money on this. But I've decided that, if you're gonna grow a business, I would rather go a business and change the world and help you change yourself and up your behavior and change you to create a legacy for you. Because if I can help you create a legacy and you help other people in the world, that means I'm changing the world. And so my whole goal with Actions of Compassion, which is our company name, is to change the world. And we got lots of stuff that we do inside our organization. So if I can help you become more conscious of everything, and then especially if you have kids and you're around kids, you have to do this. If you have kids and you don't do this, you're crazy, right? you're just crazy. But because you'll teach the next generation a whole different skill set. So for me too, it's about creating world change, and we can make you into a world change maker, and you'll make a big difference in the world when you start to learn this stuff and we work together. So I look forward to seeing you, and I hope you guys have a fantastic day. Go out and lead with compassion.